Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 5 of December Daily 2022. I'm really excited to have you here with me today as I put together story number 5. Now, I put together this foundation page with the idea of documenting 5 gifts of the season. And I really wanted it to look like a full 8 by 10 gift. So I simply wrapped the page in a red shea ribbon and I used double-sided tape to put it together. I love the shea tape actually, and so I was really excited to get to use it. So this piece is flat down onto the page, and then I wrap along the vertical aspect of the page to give it a nice gift look. Now I love this paper so much, and there's so many things that we could do with this paper from an interactive perspective, but I just thought it was so pretty with the gold foil that I just wanted to allow it to stand out on its own. So I make sure that I line up the ribbon as straight as possible, and then I remove the foam with my handy dandy tweezers, which has been with me for a very long time, and then I wrap this page up. So what I really enjoy doing, though, not just wrapping the page, but I also embossed these 6 tags with the red tinsel embossing glitter as well as gold tinsel embossing glitter. So I'm just trying to work through how I'd like to embellish this part, and I'm going to use these tags to document the 5 gifts and add pictures to this page as well. So I'm just adding some of the die cuts from this year's offerings, the rubber tag, a piece of chipboard that says presents from the Stories of Christmas Past kit, and I think something from Tim Holtz, a candy cane. And I was just going through my stash for things that would be fun to add as tags, and just kind of create a cluster of interest. I really love this punch. It punches through pretty much everything, as you could see. So it has been really, really handy, and I used the smallest hole on the punch for this one, and I'm just gonna put some gold wrapped jute through all of these little bits and pieces, and then attach it to the ribbon and tie a bow. So I felt like that was a fun way to start the page and create this foundation, and then I would move on to the rest of the documenting for the day. So I later realized that the 5th of December is actually the anniversary of the day that my husband and I met. So I decided that I wanted to document the 5 gifts from that perspective, and as well sort of document just some things from the 5th of December every year from that day that we met. But I'm still just going through my stash and finding embellishments until I feel comfortable with the way the cluster looks. I felt like this candy cane would be perfect. These are from the Tim Holtz ideology, and I just really like how it looked. I think once I added the candy cane and I kind of just played around with the things, make sure they were layered to my liking, then I was able to wrap wrap this bundle up, and I feel like I would be pretty pleased receiving a gift with this cluster of items on it. So I was really happy with how this looked as a foundation page, and I had no idea how I was gonna build a page, to be honest, at this point while I was putting it together. But today I worked on the actual page. So I printed my pictures and I decided I wanted to do a full page photo. I love working in this 8x10 size because it does give me the opportunity to go full big picture mode. And it is interesting because I'm almost afraid that my smaller photos will be lost. So I felt like with this spread, it was an opportunity to have a play because these smaller photos weren't actually, the largest part of the spread, but it was really just a recap of December through the years, and I was able to use a stamp from this year's paisley press stamp offering. It said through the years, I guess through the years as in olden days, and I put December together and the trees, so all this from the digital stamp set, and also putting together some of the items from the gift stamp set, because I'd like to create a pocket or an openable really for the page or for this booklet that I'm making with December through the years. So I sized this to about 2 by 2 inches for each photo and each bit of journaling. I'm leaving them as a strip, and I'm going to create an accordion booklet which open out away from each other. So for example, the 27 photo and the 27 journaling will be on top and it will be side by side, so then when you open the photos to the left and the journaling to the right, it will reveal the 2018 photo on the left and the 2018 journaling on the right, and so on until we get to 2021. And then this booklet that I'm making is 3 inches by 3 inches, and it was photos from yesterday on our family walk. We went to a new trail, and it was just a really beautiful sunshiny summer day. We'd had some cold rainy days last week, and it was just really lovely to be able to walk. The soil was still a bit wet from the rainy days, but we went to this lovely waterfall. It was a beautiful day. I mean, there were just so many nice people on the trails because I was using all of my, documenting techniques to take pictures. I had it against rocks, and I was doing all sorts of things with my timer, and people were just offering to take pictures for us, which is really lovely. So I did get quite a few great family photos. And what I did was I sized these for the 2 inch by 4 inch below, and then 3 inch is by 3 inches on top, and I left extra about a quarter to a half inch on either side to create a pocket. And then I printed that with my laser printer and passed it through my Minc Machine to get with gold foil. So those bits are gold foil, and then I'm just scoring along the 2-inch line to create the accordion for this smaller booklet. And I will do the same for the journaling as well. So this came together fairly quickly. I felt like out of my ideas, this one was the one that would come together fairly quickly. My other idea was to do about 5 different stacked pockets, like in the shape of gifts. So it would be like stacked gifts, but 5, probably 2 by 2 ish on the page. And then so each photo and journaling would have been pulled out from a pocket. But I felt like the accordion was nice because I haven't done an accordion, I think, for this year yet. So I thought it was a nice opportunity to include something different. And I'm just kind of making sure that the sizes line up and both the pictures and journaling are the same dimensions so that the booklet looks, you know, a little lovely. And so once I get that done and I fold off the journaling, I did use my bone folder on the creases to flatten them, but I'm also weighing it down with some texture paste and my ruler just to keep it kind of flat. And I guess as time goes on in December and the album folds up and I close the album as well, that it will flatten, or as I put, the consecutive page. So this is the mechanics of this spread coming together here. And once I have these booklets in place, I can choose some pattern paper as well to finish off the booklet. But what I do first is I make sure and I cut and fold all the different pieces for this spread before moving on to that section of putting things together. So again, some bone foldering to make sure that it's flat, and then my substitute weight of the ruler. So I'm scoring these as well along the 3-inch mark, and then I'm going to join them back to back to create this booklet. And I'm just really ensuring that it kind of fits well next to this picture. Now this picture I took using my timer on my phone and placing it up against one of the railings, and so I got a lovely bit of white space, and which is something that I really appreciated for this photo and for this spread, because a lot of times we forget to leave white space when we're taking photos. So I think these kind of give the opportunities for that, and it allows me to be able to build more things on my page. So now I'm just going to score the pocket along the just along the edges. It is about 4 inches across. I'm not doing a really deep score line just to allow room for the thickness of the accordion. I wanted to at first cut it through the center, but once I started playing with it, I felt like probably gift pockets would be a bit better and probably more sturdy as well. So I'm just getting the 3x3 pocket together. I like how this looks as is, and so I'm just gonna fold it around the booklet as well. And what I end up doing is cutting right above these gold lines, which should look at the wrapping paper, and then fussy cutting out the ribbons. I thought that would be a cute way to make it a gift pocket. So I do that for both of the pockets, so this way it has, just a bit of a fun layered whimsical look to that component of the page. And because the one for the 3x3 booklet was a bit exact, I wasn't going to fussy cut it, but then in the end I thought it would be cute to just have that added layer or texture or dimension to the spread. So that's what I end up doing, and then I just put everything together once the pockets are all finished. So this is, really the process in and of itself. And now I'm just choosing out pattern papers. I'm really happy that I've used so many of my pattern papers this year. You can see all my bits and pieces, my scraps. It's pretty much what I have from this extra paper pack. And I'm really happily using bits and pieces to just add pops of color. So in a case like this, I was just looking for a piece that would be the right size and the right color on pattern for this spread. So that actually took a bit of a while, but I really like how this green one looks, since there was so much green in my photo, and then to tie in with the green on the gifts on the other page. And then I'm thinking of using this white with gold star, which I made myself from the red and gold star pattern paper. but then I end up really liking the red and gold, so I choose that one in the end. So I'm just measuring it up, making sure it's the right size, and then I'm just going to stick it on into the paper scored along the middle, and create that bigger booklet. And then using this piece of scrap red and gold to make sure that I have the right dimensions to make the booklet for this smaller page. So this comes together quite well also. And following this, once I fold it accurately, I realized that the width of the paper is just a tad too short for the 4 inch. Is actually just exact, so there's like a tiny gap. So what I did was, when I was layering both sides, I layered the journaling over the photos just by a little bit, and I kind of flapped them like kind of like an in and out type thing, like a zip maybe, to get it together. But it actually came together quite well, and it was quite cute in the end, because at first I thought it wouldn't work, so I was just trying to see if I folded it in two, if it would work better being side by side. But then there was still that gap, so I decided eventually that, yeah, if I put it under like that, then it could work. And I just kind of zigzag them into each other, photo journaling, and then it closes like this, and then I wrap it with some ribbon as well. So this is how this booklet was coming together. I think it was cute. I really like it. And then for the one which documents 2022, I am putting it together in this green. I like this kind of wood art pattern graphic from this year, and this one wraps perfectly, so no issues here. And I'm just gonna like lay it onto my page just to see how it looks. I do that quite often just to make sure that everything's lined up well, everything looks good. And then I decide to layer this December through the years onto the page as a column. At first I wanted to cut it as a 3-inch circle, but then I cut this scrap that I had, and I thought that this looked to me better, so I decided to do that, and then layer the gifts over it. I am using some glue tape to get the pocket to stay together. I'm always double checking that everything is not too tight and then it fits well, and then I'm just gluing the pages back to back to adhere it to the pattern paper that will form the outside of the booklet. So this comes together quite well. It's one of my favorite ways of putting booklets together. It is a bit difficult with the texture of the photo paper to get the tape to run, so just be mindful of that. I kind of had to use my finger to turn it a bit, and once the glue was just a bit more out there, if you know what I mean, I was able to adhere a bit better. But you could see my table is shaking from the amount of force that I was using to get the tape to run, so I'm sorry about that. And then I guess I just really wanted it to work as opposed to using a tacky glue, but this came together quite nicely. I had to be careful adhering these bits down, but yeah, once I got that and I tucked the photo bit under the first bit of journaling, it came together quite well. And then I just tied it with some of the jute, which is turning out to be one of my favorite things this season. And yeah, I could tuck that into the pocket as well once it tied down. So something else I toyed with as well was also putting some ribbon onto the top so the booklet, so that it comes out and frames the gold vellum ribbons or the gold foil ribbons. So that's something else to add some extra texture depending on how you putting your page together. And then I spend an ample amount of time going back and forth as to what orientation and what position I wanted the gifts to be it on the page. Now, a ridiculous amount of time was spent doing this, to the point where I laid them down and then I walked away from the project for quite some time, to give myself some space to figure out how I wanted to embellish the rest of the page. So again, just making sure that the glue is giving me some trouble as well with the vellum. And yeah, I decide that this is what I'm going with in terms of stack, and then I end up layering quite a lot of things onto this page, like a ridiculous amount of things. So I tried first with the stitching. I love doing stitching on spreads, and so I was experimenting with how I would create a bow. So I played with that. I like how it came out, and then I decided to do a red stitched bow through this gold foil, and I used a lazy daisy stitch to get the shape of the bow. So that was quite fun actually, and quite therapeutic. And then I got really excited about stitching and tried to figure out how else I could add stitching to the page. But for now I just did a really a straight line for that bow, that's the ribbon that's vertical, and I felt like it was a nice way to carry the texture of the ribbon on the right onto the left hand side of the page and kind of tie it all together. So that was a fun way of bringing the spread together, because one thing with foundation pages is that we create it in advance and kind of in light of what we think we would want to document on that day, and a lot of times that changes. Some people throw out foundation pages altogether, other people try to make it work. For me, I really try to make it work because I know that I spent time to create the foundation page, and so in a lot of ways it could be not congruent in terms of balance and so forth, depending on what pictures you get on the day or what you're feeling for on the actual day in December. And so I find a great way of kind of getting the pages to be balanced, especially on days where you're creating a whole side of a page. You know, sometimes ideally I would have just added photos and journaling to the tags and call it done, but in the end I end up adding, you know, stitch stars. I add some of the stacked gifts, which was from the advent calendar. I add some numbers to show the years that I was looking at, and you know, I just add pom-poms to the bows so that it stands out, and then I'm going to stamp the tags with numbers 1 to 5 in metallic brass embossing powder. And once I do that, I'm also going to stamp a wreath in peat moss around that to bring it all together, and I'm also going to stamp the cover of the tag booklet. So this comes together quite quickly, and I really love how it came out. I like using baby wipes to wipe off my stamps just to keep them clean, because they could get a bit grimy. But yeah, this is just me stamping through these 5 tags. I'm probably just gonna put some music on for you for a bit, and then I'll come back to you shortly. So this is it, guys. I am just putting my bow back together, and then this spread is done. So I hope that you enjoyed being with me here today for day 5, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for day 6 of December daily documenting. So bye, guys.